Awesome. Welcome everybody to today's video. We are starting with Ignite Power Session 1. So Ignite, the basic overall view from Ignite is it's a KW University course that's typically a 14 to 16 week course, depending upon the instructor and how it's set up, in which we'll take you through kind of the beginnings of setting up your business, all the way to working with the sellers at the listing table and getting documents signed. Now, for any of you that are watching this video thinking I've already taken Ignite or I've already got my business set up and running, I encourage you to watch it again or to take it multiple times. You see, it's just like different business books, leadership books, development books, things that have a lot of information. Our brains are only going to be able to grab so much information throughout one thing. And for those of you that have been in real estate for maybe a year or two, you'll realize that the way you started your business might be a little different than the way that you're running your business today. And so sometimes these courses can help get that back up to speed for you. So I encourage you to watch Ignite or attend Ignite sessions at least 2 or 3 times in your first couple of years. Because for one, when you first start, it's like drinking from a fire hose. You're really only going to retain so much. The second time, you've kind of got that rhythm and that rhyme going with real estate, and kind of understanding what you want to work on, what you start to get better at, and be more intentional through. And that's why we call it from E to P. Actually, I like that. E to P is one of the 6 personal perspectives, and we're actually going to talk about that here at the very beginning of this. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. All right, Carson, can you see the 6 personal perspective right here?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so yes, please take Ignite a couple different times. Going back into it, every single Ignite session, we're going to be talking about kind of getting it. We're always going to have this little PowerPoint that says, get your head in the game. Getting your head in the game is something that you're going to have to do on a daily basis. I think Harry said it best this morning. When John Maxwell, national known public speaker, if you've never attended any of his seminars, I encourage you to put it on one of your growth plans. Spend the money, fly out, and go to a 1 to 2 day seminar with John Maxwell. He's brilliant. He's an incredible public speaker. He's an incredible mindset guy, and he's an incredible business owner. But Harry said it best. He went to a John Maxwell thing, and John Maxwell, for the first probably 2 to 3 minutes of every time he goes up on a big stage, he's nervous, he's petrified. But the reason why he comes off as not nervous is because it's instinctual. He's done it so many times. But that nerves, they don't necessarily go away. I think the more you do things, the more they get suppressed, if you will. But we're always going to talk about getting our head in the game. Getting your head in the game and Ignite is, if we were in a classroom, what we would be doing is we'd be going around the room and we'd be reporting out all of our numbers from week to week. So since this is Ignite Power Session 1, we just got to set that stage. So next week, I'm going to expect the people that are on this Zoom to report out their activities from the last week. And these are just reports. Okay, this isn't a synopsis of how conversations went or anything like that. We need to get through it. And that's to create that habit for you and your business, right? When you guys evaluate your business every single week, and notice how I said when, not you should be, or that if you do. When you evaluate your business every single week, set aside that time and report your numbers to yourself. I got to tell you, the best thing that I ever heard around kind of reporting or judging myself in my business is to go through 4 different questions. Last week, if I was an employee to myself, a separate Bruce, would I have fired myself for what I did? Would I have wrote myself up in the corporate world, write myself up and put myself on kind of like a probation? Did I just do my job and, I'm not expecting any sort of award, kudos, or bonus? Or did I do my job so exceptionally well that I would apply for a raise or something like that. Like, use that mentality when you're looking through your business. So every single week, we're going to kind of go out and report numbers. The other thing that we're not going to be able to do through these recordings or through this session is make the phone calls. So if this was an Ignite in-person session, what we would do is take 10 to 15 minutes at the very beginning to make 5 phone calls to different people. All right. That is to make sure that you're getting your head in the game, is to set you up for success, set you up for those activities that are necessary to do. Carson Guyman, I think he's still on here. He has a plan of 15 contacts through cold calling per day, with the goal of adding 2 of those contacts to his database. Right? Very simplistic goals, very methodical. But instead of saying something like, I'm going to do X per week, or I'm going to do this, he's got it just down to that. He doesn't care if that takes him a half an hour or 3 hours, right? The importance is those activities and getting those metrics done. You need to do the same for your business, and getting your head in the game is something that we're going to do every single week, and go through there. Now, at the beginning, I said E to P. What the heck is E to P? Well, there's a course. So I recommend this type of course, or this recording. It's called the 6 Personal Perspectives. The 6 Personal Perspectives is that getting your head into the game kind of piece. So like I said, Ignite's going to walk you through kind of how to set up your business, and how to walk through and understand buyers and sellers, and understand what you should and shouldn't be doing in your business. It's also going to show you how to work in and on your business. And then the 6 Personal Perspectives is something that, what do they call that? It's a stem from what we do in Ignite, right? So the 6 personal perspectives are self-mastery, the 80-20 principle, E to P, be learning based, no limiting beliefs, and hold yourself accountable. I like this graph, or this thing, because I'm a big mindset guy. I'm a huge mindset guy, because I've realized in my world, if my mindset's right, I have a better attitude on things. If I have a better attitude on things, I approach things in a better light. And so for me, my journey through Ignite, through selling and buying homes with different people, through constantly trying to get out of my own way, I learned that it first starts with mindset for me. Some people wake up and they want to get a better attitude to change their mindset, and so they'll go through and they'll have a morning routine. They'll go through and say some different affirmations around what they're going to be doing that day to then align their mind, right? It doesn't really matter how you do it, but these 6 personal perspectives kind of make those 3 circles kind of intertwine. When you can do that methodically, every single day that you start to work on this, those first couple of phone calls aren't as difficult. But like John Maxwell, like Harry said, John Maxwell does, it's not that it's not nerve-wracking or not fearful. It's just that by preparing and understanding his material, John Maxwell can go out on that stage and have that nerve, but about 2 to 3 minutes in, have that nerve be calm. If you work on your routines, if you analyze your business, you'll develop those same habits, those same things, but never trick yourself into thinking that fear doesn't go away. Never trick yourself into thinking that people like, Harry, who's been doing this for a long time, doesn't get nervous when he goes up to a listing appointment. I still get nervous every time I make calls. I still get nervous every time I go to a listing appointment. But the cool part is over 8 years, that nerve kind of starts off like this and then kind of goes down, but it still just never goes away. And that's just part of our human nature. It's part of the chemicals that we secrete. I personally think that if I wouldn't get nervous, I would never feel the adrenaline. If I don't feel the adrenaline, I'm probably going to show up lethargic. So I've learned to embrace that fear and turn it into adrenaline, right? We're not going to pause the video and ask about all these questions, but if I asked every single one on here, Harry, Carson, Ed, Jackie, and anybody else on here, who's afraid of jumping out of an airplane and who gets a thrill out of jumping out of an airplane? The key is that both of those feelings are the exact same. One person might just look at that fear and turn it into adrenaline. The other person still might be working on changing that fear into the adrenaline, but that feeling is the exact same. And so that, I'm sure that's what John Maxwell does, is when he says, I get a little nervous when I go out on stage. That's awesome. That's probably why he's as good as he is, because if he wasn't feeling any sort of adrenaline, he probably would never continue to have the intensity that he shows up with. And he probably would stop caring how much he was helping those people. And we need to do the same thing. And so I think adrenaline and fear is awesome. However, we got to know what to do with it, right? I think sometimes our fear can be projected. So 6 personal perspectives can really help you understand how to take some of the nuggets from Ignite and then elevate that. We're not going to go through a 6 personal perspective class, but take it if you see it come through. And also, I have done all of these classes and they're in the training library.
Yeah, and so have I. And Bruce, I mentioned to the group that at our team meetings, we're going to go through the 6 personal perspectives, and Lori's doing number 1 this Friday.
Oh, even better. Perfect. All right. Getting the most out of Ignite. Very similar to Bold for anybody that's taken Bold. Sitting here and listening to the class, it's going to be fantastic. You're going to get a lot of nuggets out. But until you start to use these principles, you're not going to really see those results, right? And so the reason why these classes or Ignite is spread out through 14 to 16 weeks is simply because somebody's in the waiting room. Hold on one second. Harry, do you have anybody in the waiting room? I think I'm host, but I got nobody. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second.
Your host Bruce out. I have no idea.
Yeah, let me send them the. All right, sorry about that. Getting the most out of Ignite is the same thing as getting the most out of an educational book that you read. It's the same thing as getting out of Bold. You can attend this and you can pick up a lot of nuggets. But the reality is that if you pick up something new and don't use it or implement or take action on it, it's really going to be difficult to kind of experience, if you will. So each week, we're going to kind of go through some things, and I want you guys to pick out 1 to 2, no more, 1 to 2 action items from that particular thing that then you can start to either implement in your business or create the game plan to then implement later into your business. Okay, if you constantly just take notes through Ignite, and then at the end of 14 to 16 weeks have basically a list of things that you're going to implement, you're not going to implement them all. It's just humanality. It's just human nature. Implement as we go, and that's why we take a week between each session, okay? So if you're watching the recordings, do not try and watch all of the Ignite courses in a week and then start to implement. Watch 1 session, implement, watch the next session, okay? All right, we need to play full on in here, you guys. Every single time we come in, I am going to go around the room and ask you guys what you did last week. Now, again, we're going to evaluate ourselves like a business. So when I ask you what you did last week, I want you to report out your numbers. I want you to report out your action items that you've accomplished. I don't want to talk about that situation or that scenario with that one buyer, that one seller. The question that I'm asking is something that you need to start to internalize in your own head. And by internalizing it in your head, you're not going to explain to yourself how that buyer's conversation went because you already know. So as we report numbers, it's very simple and fast. We're going to let's just give a little example with Carson right now. I'm going to ask Carson how his week went, how many contacts he made, and if he hit his database goals, right? So Carson's goals are 15 contacts a day and 2 database entries from that, right? So once we know that goal, Next week, Carson is going to let us know if he hit 15 a day and 2 database entries. He's going to kind of grade himself, and then we'll go on to the next person. All right. This is more for everybody that's kind of still going through onboarding. Yeah, we're just going to skip this. Everybody's kind of past that. All right. Your big why. We're not going to take 15 minutes to go out.
We did it. Bruce, when you were off, we did the big one.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. No, just for the sake of recording the video. We're not going to pause it right now, but I would encourage you to pause this video and go through and write out your big why. But let's talk about big why, and maybe let's take the big why off the screen for just a second. I want to share with you guys kind of an affirmation type of thing that I've learned. When you hear something that you want to shake your head and go, what does that mean? What does that do? Change up some of the words around it, right? I stopped looking at my big why as the name big why. For me, I like to name my goal as my belief. My beliefs are what hold me to being present every day. My beliefs are what hold me to continuing to drive. My beliefs are what causes me to get more done in a day than my peers. I have the same amount of time as everybody else, but my beliefs are so strong in where I'm headed and what I'm going to do in life that nothing can derail me from that. And when I say nothing can derail me from that, I'm talking about nothing. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to die before I don't hit my beliefs. Now, the reason why I say beliefs is because things change over time. All right. Your big why, I think, when you take these classes and you talk about a big why, we get really consumed into the end all be all why we're on this planet. I can tell you that just like riding a bike, you're going to go through steps. And I think what you need to do is pick a little why today. And then once that little why kind of starts to see a bigger light around it, pick a bigger why and a bigger why and a bigger why. Until your why or your beliefs are laughable. I truly believe that they need to be something that's so far out there that people that can't even wrap their head around your belief or your big why will laugh at it. I personally think you got to get to a place where you almost laugh at your big why. A few years back, I set out the task to make $1 million a year. I didn't know when I was going to do it, but I felt like that was my big why. And I kind of laughed at myself. And my mom and dad, they didn't laugh at me, but they laughed about it. And now to this day, I know what my belief is. I'm going to make $3 million a year. I'm going to live off of one. I'm going to invest another. And I'm going to give another. That's my big thing. Once I hit that, maybe that belief will change. Maybe that will increase. Maybe that will decrease. Maybe it won't be financially driven. Maybe it will be mission driven. I'm not sure yet. And that's what I'm trying to get at, you guys. Be careful beating yourself up over finding this big why. I encourage you that if big why doesn't work for you, change it, change the word, change the name around it. Okay. Valerie Graham, how are you doing today? So this big why, I really encourage you guys to do this. I have watched countless peers of mine and myself struggle with coming up with the big why. So I'm kind of want to squash it and take it out of Ignite and take it out of our vocab, unless it's something you believe in or do. I had to look at it and call it my beliefs. What are my big, true core beliefs? And how can I get to that place? So mine has changed constantly. I wouldn't say like every 6 months or every year, but like I've been doing this for 8 years now, and I couldn't find a big why. And it was because I was almost going too big with something that my mind wasn't even expansive enough to think that big yet. And so my coach and I, we sat down and said, what's your big why right now? Like, what drives you every day? And I said, I need money. My wife's pregnant. She's working 3 part-time jobs. I'm not selling real estate. So my big why is money. I don't want to be fear-based around it. I want to run towards it and not run away from the scarcity. So he said, fine, let's make you some money. Just focus on money, get money any way you can, save it any way you can. So we did a budget, we broke it down. I looked at my net worth. I went through all those exercises around it. So as soon as you find your belief or your big why, I want you to kind of work some exercises around it to see if that's truly what you want to believe in. Then after that, my big why was to be the #1 buyer's agent in all of Colorado through Keller Williams. It's hard to kind of match yourself up with everybody else because not everybody has public reports. But I wanted to, I said, I want to be the #1 buyer's agent in the state of Colorado for all of Keller Williams. My first year attacking that, I put up, I think, 42 closings, and I think I was in the top 10, but I was stunned that I would have to go and do at least 5 to 6 more to even be considered in the top 5. And then the second year, that was still my big why. I wanted to be the #1 buyer's agent in all of Colorado for Keller Williams in a seller's market. I wanted to do that because Bruce is I'm not that competitive outside. I'm competitive inside. And I watched all of my peers that went through Ignite and went through productivity coaching with me constantly. It was a constant complaint fest every time we got to meet with our coach. Well, the market's just tough. I only have these buyers and there's no inventory for them and da 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 da. And so that's why I set it out there. It wasn't like a personal competition from me to everybody else. It was a personal competition for me. I never wanted to fall into victimhood, and I thought the best way to attack victimhood was to attack something that other people were not willing to. I wish I could sit here on this video and tell you I got #1. I ended up getting #2. And then what happened? Why didn't I go for #1 the third year in a row? Anybody got a guess? Life changed. My big why changed. Okay. Through going through that experience, some people still ask me, why didn't you were that close. You would have been a shoo-in the next year. Well, the reality is that my life didn't accompany that. Like I said, my wife was pregnant. So that means the year that I got #2, my daughter was very much an infant. My wife and I were trying to figure out if she was going to go back to work or she was going to be a stay-at-home mom. Selling that many homes allowed me to have some money in my pocket that I have never experienced before in my life. It allowed me to understand that I needed to think about different things. Did I need to push myself 60, 70 hours a week to get #1? Or did I need to focus on where my wealth plan was going to be? Right? So I started with money. I made some money. Then my belief changed because I was so sick of watching. I have this vendetta in real estate that says 80% of us should not fail. But the national stat says 80% of us will fail. And that frustrates me because I do believe that if the education and the understanding of our industry is projected correctly and people can get out of their own way, I believe that it can all be flopped. 20% of us should fail and 80% of us should thrive. And so since my beliefs started changing, that's the year that I said, all right, I need to pull back from some of this work. I need to work on my family. I need to be there for them. I need to understand that my daughter's going to be growing, and I need to set myself up to not be in the habit of working 60, 70 hours a week when she wants daddy to coach her in softball, volleyball, or whatever she decides to do. And so because my why changed, my beliefs changed. And then my beliefs went to, all right, now that I'm making some money, how can I set myself up to be able to have the time and availability and the abundance of money to cause myself freedom to be there for my daughter when she wants to do these things? So I sat with my coach and I said, man, coach, why do I have such a belief in this? I started this journey with wanting money more than anything. I wanted to be a multi-millionaire. And now I've made some money, but I still haven't got to where I thought I wanted to be. And now my beliefs are changing. Why is that changing so much around being there for my daughter and my family? We went through a few more exercises, a few more coaching sessions, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. My parents were postal carriers. They worked their tails off 6 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day to make money so that way our family could have freedom through vacations. That was their big thing, was saving up enough money for their 3 kids for a full scholarship, or not scholarship, but a full amount of money for 4 years of college for each of us 3, as well as having enough financial income to go and take us on a couple of week-long vacations a year and pay for our sporting events and different things like that, right? Since my parents never once, I mean, I probably couldn't name 5 times that my parents showed up to my sporting events. Did that affect me internally? I think so. I really do. I think that affected me because I saw all of my other friends. I saw their parents coming on a very consistent basis, very regular jobs, very 9 to 5, very much able to attend and go to those things. And so maybe my why is to be there for my daughter because my parents weren't. Do I lack that? I really don't know. I really don't care. I really don't want to dwell on it. Is it a scar that I have? Maybe you could call it that. But scars are just like scars on my body. I really could care less as long as I'm healthy and alive and feeding the world the way I want to see it. And then through that journey of kind of wanting to be there and wanting to be free for my daughter, it leads me to today. I got to the $3 million mark because through $3 million a year, my world is that big now. I know exactly how I would donate $1 million a year. It's not going to be through writing a check, though. I watch so many people say that they would go on mission trips and go to, a third world country for 2 to 3 weeks out of a year, but they can't. They won't take time off. They get 4 weeks off the year for vacation and for their personal time, so they do that. But their job would allow them to take more time off unpaid. I want to be able to take a group of 20 people over to Africa and help the less fortunate, for the people that want to do it but can't financially. I'm a big proponent of the Multiple Sclerosis Foundation because I have a lot of family members that have gone through that. The Hemophiliac Foundation. I have 2 cousins that are hemophiliacs, and through the advancement of when they were diagnosed at birth from having hemophilia to today, they were not. It was such a humbling thing. Like, I was going through school, my parents weren't allowed to go to my sporting events, but I was allowed to play sports. My cousins, when they first were born, they were told they'll never be able to play sports. They really are going to have a hard, if they fall down, they could die because they could bleed internally. I can't imagine as a parent living with that. And unfortunately, get a little emotional. My family was not able to pay for the medicine that these young boys should have been deserving of. Now, through modern medicine and through donations and through research and development, my cousins now are 20 and 17. They play basketball. They live on a farm and bust their hump and bale hay and feed the cattle and attend to the crops. They live in Iowa and they live a very, very, very much a normal life for having, I think each of them had 37 surgeries before they were 3 years old. I'm talking go under the knife, under anesthesia surgeries before they're 3 years old. But through modern medicine, we went from being told that, like, if they got hit, like if one of their friends from school just said, hey, slug bug, they could die. That's what we were being told. To now they play a contact sport, basketball. They're not going to play football. But anyways, you guys, I know exactly where my beliefs are and my why is. And I made the mistake of going way too big, way too quickly. I needed something to then take me to the next step and the next advancement and the next place. Find your belief, find your why, call it whatever the hell you want, but find it. It's the only thing that's going to get you up in the morning. I guarantee, I always pick on Carson because he's on video, sorry. But Carson's got a strong place in my heart because he's got a daughter. I know that through conversations with Carson, his daughter's so important to him. I'm not saying his wife isn't. I bet you his wife is still number one in his world, but his daughter is what gives him fuel. His wife is probably maybe the most important. Sometimes it's the daughter, but his daughter is the one that gives him the fuel. I can tell just by the way we talk about it, the way he posts pictures online. It's the same thing for me. Find that, you guys. You have to find it because your tank is empty without these beliefs, without this why. Derek, can I pick on you for a sec? Good.
Go for it.
Derek is right now working with me methodically to get through get through himself, right? We always say we need to get out of our own way, right? We all go through this journey, and I feel like Derek's smack dab in the middle of it. He said something today that I was very proud of. You see, I never want to force you guys into anything, because the moment I force everyone to get into a room with me and make cold calls together is the moment you stop going to any of the classes because you don't like being clammy. But the moment that you ask me to do that with you is the moment I know that you're trying to get work through your shit. Derek now, the next adventure is going to be finding that belief, that why, right? He's going to do it. You know how I know he's going to do it? Because he's getting very frustrated with himself about it. And I commend him for that, because through breakdowns, we have breakthroughs. If we don't find that why, if we don't find that belief, we have no fuel. If we don't have any fuel, we never end up actually getting through ourselves or past our limiting beliefs. All right. Monetary goal. I mean, this is kind of why I went to that, right? I went to money because I couldn't really think of my big why, because I was trying to go way too big, way too quick. I needed to go big, but not like expansive, save the world big. So a monetary goal helped me. We're not going to spend 5 to 10 minutes on it, but what you need to be doing here, and like I said, this is kind of like your action item for next week before you get into bowl, or before we get into session 2. A monetary goal. So jump over to page 23 to 26. Let me see if I still have it pulled up here. Can everybody see this? Ignite your business. Carson?
Yes, sir.
So 23 to 26. Go through this exercise, you guys. I'm telling you, you have to do this. It's humbling, it's eye-opening, as well as kind of that reality check, kind of that belief check, if you will. And also how easy this job really is, and how easy it is to make money. I absolutely love that there's no ceiling in this world. If you've gone through Bold, you probably already have this. So what I'm going to tell you is that your action item is to revisit it. Go back through it. This is a different look. It's probably the same formula, but a different look. And here's why I encourage you guys to do the instructor view. Ask yourself these questions, right? I'm supposed to ask you, does this seem, that seems easy, right? Blah, 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 blah. Go through those red lines. I encourage this instructor view for sure. Just gonna let this sit here and resonate for a second. This is the biggest part to getting out of our own way. You see, we all know that going to McDonald's and eating that double cheeseburger is not the greatest thing for us. But the reality is that if we ate that double cheeseburger and we gained 5 pounds instantaneously every time we ate that double cheeseburger, how many times a year you think we eat that double cheeseburger? Not that often. It's because if the results are instant, we're less likely to do the bad things. And if the results are instant, we're more likely to do the good things. If every single one of you on here if it was just proven that if you talk to 10 people a day, you would get a closing every single day, how many of you guys would talk to 10 people a day? You would just do it. Well, in real estate, we have to get our mind wrapped around the fact that what we do today, we simply will see 90 days from now. So the hardest part is that we go, well, that's so far out. Like, I just don't want to pick up that phone. I don't know if I'm going to get this right, but I heard somebody say, go 90 days into your calendar and put on there how much money you should be making in 90 days, or put on there that you didn't make your calls. And then when that thing comes up in 90 days and you have to tell yourself that you did or didn't hit your results, or that you did or didn't hit your monetary goal that you put in your calendar, it's kind of humbling. But I believe that the reason why we can't get out of our way fast enough is because the results aren't instant in this business. For every day that you do not lead generate, 90 days later, you can expect no money. Obviously, you don't want this to happen. I'm surprised that's still part of that quote. How do we get past and through our own minds? Carson, you say you hate it. Why do you hate it? How did you get past it? How did you get through it? What are some things that you did?
So I mean, the first thing I did was I changed my background, my lock screen to the stuff that I want this year. That was actually a huge thing for me. So every time I see it and I'm not lead generating, or I didn't do it for the day, I look at it like, oh shit, I need to make some calls. And then I just also remember, like what you said, in 90 days, I still need money. I mean, it's not going to be right now, but it'll hit me eventually. So and then just tough through it. You just got to do it, and it becomes easier.
Perfect. Every time I ask people how they got out of their own way, it's very similar. We don't really know, right? You have those little tricks and tips, but it's very hard to quantify how. It really is just a switch that you decide to just do one day, and it just starts to happen. Then you got to make that switch happen again and again and again and again. And literally it's a switch. Like, Carson has to get up every day and flip that freaking switch on. It sucks because we all want to just flip that switch and have it be on whenever we want to choose it. But it's not. It's really not. But the more we flip that switch on, the more repetitious it becomes, the easier it becomes. Just like brushing your teeth in the morning. I personally don't like brushing my teeth in the morning. Why do I not like brushing my teeth in the morning? Because it takes that extra couple of minutes that I could have been sleeping. It takes that extra couple of minutes that I could be sitting there watching Sports Center. But because I do it every day, it's just habit. Just do it. Get it over with. Get it done with. Sorry, there's some chat. Maria Scott, see, you're going to go through and you're going to find those different tweaks. For me, it just dawned on me that if I'm not making that contact, somebody else will. That's so true too. I don't know how many times I have pushed off calling some of these leads that I've had because I'm like, I don't want to bug them. They told me they're 6 months out, whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden I finally call them and they bought with somebody else. They re-signed a lease. Plans have changed, and I could have been there to help them. Just getting out of our own way.
Eye-opening moment 2 days ago. My husband's been telling me that our side mechanic, mentioned to him in passing one day that he was looking for some property. And I, for whatever reason, just even still to this day, we're like, no, he's not going to want to buy anything. He's not. Like, he's set where he's at. He's in a good location, yada, yada. Long story short, I called him on Monday and he indeed said he was looking for some property and he hasn't working with any realtors, despite the fact that he said he knows 30 to 40 plus people that are realtors. He's not working with anybody. So he gave me the information of what he's looking for. So I've got, I put him on a search. And so when I do come across something, I'll be in touch and I'll be sure to keep nurturing him along the way. But
isn't it wild the story that we create for somebody else's life in our own head?
Yeah.
It is unreal. And then the flip side of that though too is how we talk to ourselves and the limiting and beliefs and doubts that we have, we would never say to anybody else.
You're right. You're right.
That's why this thing is so powerful. That's why I start every morning with this. This is the vein of my existence. I love it because it can retain knowledge and be who I am and da 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 da. But this thing gets in my way every single day. So if I can get this thing out of my way every single day, I'll be good. And that part of that mindset is not creating stories for other people, because my mind is not theirs. Right.
Right.
The other thing is understanding that I know that my self-talk to myself is so much more harsh than I ever would tell anybody else. So how do I talk to myself? I talk to myself as if I'm a third person, as if I'm talking to you, Maria, right? If I made 7 contacts last week and I know I wanted to hit 35, I'm going to beat myself up down inside. But if Carson or Maria come to me and say, hey, I hit 30 or I hit 7 of my 35, Bruce, I'm kind of defeated. The words that come out of my mouth were not going to be the same words as if I were the one on that other side. And so we gotta quit beating ourselves up. We got to take the facts and move forward. Just let it go. Right?
Exactly.
Talk to ourselves like we're not ourselves, if you will.
Literally, I'm my own worst critic. So
We are.
Yeah.
Scientists say that water is the most powerful force on the face of this earth. I disagree. It's this guy, and we all have one. This is the most powerful force on the face of this entire earth for our world. Now, in the general world, I'm sure it's water, but this is our world, and this is the most powerful force. And we have to create our own rivers. We have to create our own bridges. We have to create our own thing to make sure that this thing does not consume us and that we control it. Speaking of, daily 10-4. So Bold talks about how we go from 20 contacts a day, 100 a week, right? Ignite, we talk about the daily 10-4, right? So what is the daily 10-4? And this is your action item as you guys go through Ignite with me. 10 new contacts to your database. Speak to 10 people in your database and write 10 written notes and preview 10 homes. Now, I personally you guys all know I like to kind of take a class and dissect it for you. I like doing this because by me changing the big why to my beliefs helped me. And so I want to help you guys with this. Carson's goal is 15 contacts a day and 2 to his database. But it's not his 10. I'm good with that. What it is, you guys, is take the principle around this daily 10-4. Take the principle around it and set yourself those daily goals that are very attainable. That's what the daily 10-4 is. 10 new contacts. So let's pick on Derek for sure. And Alyssa, you're not from around here, are you? You're not a native?
Sorry, what was that?
You're not a native to Colorado, right? You're building
I
your
am.
database. Okay, shoot. Well, anyways, let's pick
I
on
am
Derek and I'm sorry.
I am not a native to Colorado.
Okay, Maria Scott, perfect. All right. So the daily 10-4 for Maria should look different than Derek, and then call it whatever the hell you want. And here's what I mean by that. Derek is a native from here. All right. He probably has a phone list, Facebook and other social media and blah, blah, blah things that he has the ability to do 10 contacts to his command database a day. Maria doesn't have a database. So the likelihood of her being able to add 10 people to the database a day is not that great. Okay. So do you guys see how the daily 10-4 is to start your business, but it's simply to get in the mode of feeding your database, speaking to people, and then doing the methodical things in business. So if it's not write 10 handwritten notes, then do 5 and 2 pop buys, or do 5 and 10 social media direct messages. You see how you can intertwine some of this lead generation stuff with this? So as you see this, here's your action item, is to do an activity every single day. And next week, we're going to report out our numbers. And the numbers I want you to report out is, first, what did you make up for your daily 10-4? And does that hit your goals? And we're going to get through that in session 2 and 3 when we talk about building your business. But the key is that when you look at your daily things, Carson had to ask himself, how many people do I really need to talk to per day that gets me to 2 database members a day, right? If he were to tell me, hey, Bruce, my goal is to talk to 5 people a day and add 2 people to my database a day, I can tell you that he's never going to get through a week where he adds consistently 2 people to his database, because the law of averages says there's going to be days where he talks to 5 people that are not interested in being in his database. But through the law of averages, he has a great chance of 2 out of 15 people wanting to be added to the database. Some days he's going to still hit 0, and he's going to know that and accept that and be okay with that. But he's not going to be okay with a month of not hitting that average. Okay, so here's what I mean. Monday, he could talk to 15 people and not add 1 person to his database. Tuesday, he could talk to 15 people and not add 2 people to his database. Then Wednesday, he could talk to 15 people and add 6 people to his database. So through the average of the week, is he on track? Absolutely. So get your daily 10-4. Look at your business. Understand what it's going to take and freaking do it. But make it bite-sized. Make it bite-sized. My daily, what you'll also notice, kind of like with your big why, is you gotta choose something, believe it, and do it. Once you do it, then you can grow and expand on it. The next step kind of falls into place. The clouds, the fog kind of starts to lift. Your daily 10-4 will start to look like this. So let me think back. At the highest level of my career, my mornings were, in the morning before I started making calls, I would do my 555 through Facebook. So I would like 5 people's posts, add 5 people, and direct message 5 people. And those direct messages were not the same people that I liked their posts. So it had to be 10 different people. And then I had to just click add friends 5 different times. I don't care if they accepted me or not, just add them. Then I would go into the command referral system. And the referral network, I would go through and add 10 people from a city in which I saw people either the cities that had the highest influx of people coming from my area or to my area. So see how that daily 10-4 kind of starts to grow and expand as you start to get business down. And then 9 to 11, I would do my lead generation. And you guys some of you guys have heard my story around that. I went from, all right, I need to contact 20 people a day. I took bold, and I thought I was impressed with the people that could hit 20 contacts a day. I couldn't figure out how they could do it. I could sit there and lead generate for 6 hours a day and not hit 20 contacts. So my first step in my first daily 10-4 was just get 20 contacts in. Did I start with that? I did, and I killed myself doing it. So then I backed it down to get 10 in a day. Get really consistent with that. If in 1 week I didn't hit 50 contacts, then next week I couldn't increase that contact goal. 50. And then I hit 50 a week for several weeks in a row. And then I went to 12 a day. And then I went to 15. And then I went to 20. But then I was still getting frustrated because I went to 20 and it was still taking me 4 to 6 hours. Then I was like, okay, now that I can hit 20, how do I get that down from 4 hours to just constantly for 2 weeks in a row, 3 weeks in a row, hit 20 contacts, only working 4 hours of lead gen, to the point where then I wanted to do it in 3.5, 3 hours, 2.5, down to 2. 2 is where it got difficult. 2 is where everybody told me, if you can get on an average of 10 contacts an hour, you're doing something right. And so that's kind of where I let go of it. I said 20 in 2 hours. Then the next advancement of that was, how do I get 2 appointments a week? I really don't want to spend 10 hours a week lead generating. So how do I get 2 appointments a week in like a couple of hours? Well, that's when I realized my sphere was the most important thing I ever did. The most fruitful that anything had ever been. The lead generation model that got me 2 appointments every single week, only working 3 to 4 hours on lead gen a week. You guys, I don't know where I'm ranked right now in the Longmont office, but I'm telling you, there's a reason why I can coach full time and still make the top 20%. It's because I went through and I just did this crap. I'm going to hammer that home. Pick out your daily 10-4. Make it something that you believe in. And through this 14-week process with me, promise me that you guys will be so methodical that you'll grow your 10-4. And you'll call it whatever you want. All right. Getting into that habit now makes everything bite size. I could get those 555s in Facebook and the 10 done in command in about 15, 20 minutes. But when I first started doing it, I'd get lost in Facebook. I'd be scrolling for a while. Next thing I know, I'd be answering and having conversations with people through the PMs that I was sending. And then I realized I'm hurting myself. Send those 5 messages. Who gives a flying rat's if they respond back right away? If they do, get back to them later after lead gen was done. You guys, to the point where I was making over $300,000 a year, working from about 8 a.m. to about 10:30 in the morning, like clockwork. Now, don't get me wrong. I still had to go show houses. I still had those appointments and stuff like that. But working from 8 to 10:30 is what made me that money. Get your daily 10-4. It's too darn important not to. Nobody in this room doesn't want to make $300,000 a year working. I'm talking very little, you guys, once you guys get it down. It took me a while to get there. And I don't want to stand on a pedestal and say it was easy. It took me 2.5 years to get that point where screw contacts. Oh my God, I'm done with contacts. I just want an appointment, man. As soon as I get an appointment, I know I'll kill it at the appointment. Just get me an appointment. And then by Tuesday, Wednesday, my appointments were set. Thursday and Friday was kind of like lead follow-up, do whatever I want, invite somebody out to lunch. You know, maybe I had a great conversation. Instead of a pop by, bring the pop by with me, but just take somebody out for beers. Make this life so fun. And then you've got money and you can take people out to lunch and you don't really give a crap what they order. I got this one guy, I hated taking him out to lunch. I hated taking him out for beers because the dude would order like the $16 drinks just because I was buying. But now I can take him out and I don't really care. But I'm also way more methodical with him about asking for business on a much regular basis. Anyways, get your ever-ending Monday through Friday basic list done. The more basic you keep it, the more you'll stick to it. Has anybody gone to the daily10-4.com? I don't promote this a crap ton because it literally is kind of that daily 10-4. If your stuff is a little different, well, I don't know. I actually haven't been here in a long time. Can you change the count anymore? This actually looks way different than when I did it.
I use it every day just to track like my numbers of how much I add and stuff, but I don't think you can change it.
I meant to put that in chat. Yeah, this daily 10-4, it's an online tracking system. You can put it right on your mobile phone. For all of you guys that don't know, you can put these websites that don't have apps on them. You can add them to your home screen. If you need me to show you how to do that next time we're in person, let me know. Actually, I think I showed Alyssa the last time we were in there with Iris. It's the same method. So get in there, use that. I'm probably not going to go in there and track it with you guys, but it's a tracking system. I didn't use it a ton because like I said, my numbers were different. I wanted my business to do something that was going through that progression. But find these tracking apps. There's another app, actually, Kama started using it for her personal life with eating right, her reminders, and her exercise program. She can manipulate it, and actually it's a really good tracking system. I'm gonna ask her about that and we'll send it out. Any questions so far? You guys know I'm a huge proponent of scripts. I said this earlier today. I was a lot like Katie Baber. I was a lot like Melissa Brashers, Caleb Church. I know I'm pointing out people, but it's because I envy the people that come in with this natural, calm, cool, collective ability, right? Chad Amos, calm, cool, collective. Carson, same thing. Brady, same thing. Grady Right-Hand, same thing. David Rasmussen. There's so many people that come in with this natural ability, and then I don't see them practice their scripts, and then I don't see them actually make it, make it in intentional and instinctual. And it frustrates me because I had to go through and learn how to get that calm, cool, collective piece. Then I had to learn the script. Then I had to actually go do it. We're not going to beat scripts like a dead horse here, but that's why I appreciate that we do scripts so often. That's why I still practice my scripts. I will tell you, if any one of you wants to volunteer to run an in-person scripts practice, I will set it up with you and we'll do it. By you teaching a scripts class, you'll learn it more tenfold. All right, like I said, make these calls after this class. Make these calls daily. I personally, if we were in person, we'd be doing our daily 10-4 right now. Right. We're going to start to, in 2022, we're going to start to have way more in-person things. All right. I know there's a few of you that have been invited to a private mastermind that I'm doing every single Monday. I will tell you that if you haven't been invited to a private mastermind with me, it's simply because Harry is still working with you on going through the necessary steps before you get that invite. I'm not going to share with you guys the bullet pointed list that Harry, Lori, and I have designed to have you guys do that. But if you're not invited to that personal mastermind and you want to be, then I would really start to engage with Harry and start to get through your first beginning steps. The reason why we're doing that is because that mastermind is going to be things where we take action around. We're going to be making calls in that class. I don't even want to call it a class. It's a mastermind. We're going to be making calls. We're going to be doing role play. We're going to be going through things where we take action. And that action is what gets you that business. So if you're not invited to that private mastermind, get with Harry. I want to see you guys there. That's where we'll be making our calls. Like I said, every week we're going to go through the daily 10-4. Harry, go for it, brother.
Yeah, I mentioned it on Monday that for those folks that it's almost like a graduation kind of thing. It'd be like, hey, you know what? I think you ought to move up to go to Bruce's mastermind. And here's the number for you to get in.
Bingo. The one thing book, I'm not really gonna, let's talk about this. The other part of business that you want to sprinkle in is a personal growth plan through business, or a personal growth plan. I could care less how you call it, but what a growth plan is if you take each month and you say, okay, in the byproduct of my time that I get back or give back to myself, how can I kind of advance my mindset? How can I advance what I need to work on? So a lot of people will choose like one book a month to read and then something else. You can do it any which way you can, but the best way I know how to kind of opened my eyes to seeing another belief or principle is to continue to read some books, to continue to listen to some podcasts, YouTube videos, take different classes. I tell people all the time, I've been doing this for 8 years. I'm very good at my CMAs for my sellers, but I still go to different instructors' CMA classes. And I just went to Jesse Ingalls a couple weeks ago and was blown away. It was a CMA class, and it went in a path in which I had never been shown before. Was it very similar to some of the other ones I did? Yeah. But my gosh, was my mind blown. So being accountable to yourself and to your development is also huge. So the One Thing book is great for self-development. It's great for a growth plan. It's also one of those books that you probably are going to revisit a couple different times once you actually get through some things. Live by your calendar. So how many action items do we have so far? We've got set your daily 10-4. What does that daily 10-4 look like for you every single day of the week that you work? Then what do we have? Anybody?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
We've set 2 action items so far. What are the 2 action items we got to do each week? We got to set our daily 10-4, meaning like create yours, right? It doesn't have to be 10-10-10-4 for you.
Lead generate.
And then do it. Thank you. I don't know who that was, but thank you. Right? Set it and then do it. The third action item, and I think this is the last one as we finish up this Ignite series or this Ignite class, is you need to put it in your calendar. Okay? I don't care if it's a paper calendar. I don't care if it's online calendar. I am telling you that if you don't put it in there, you can give yourself such an easy pass for not doing it. The other thing that you need to do is erase and replace. Erase and replace. So what that means is let's pretend that Ignite's derailing you. So let's pretend that Carson's lead generation plan is 9 to 11 every single day, and he's going to hit his 15 contacts and his 2 database people. And then Bruce sends out an email blast and says, hey, our Wednesday training is going to be Ignite. He really wants to do that, and it's going to be from 9 to 11. Erase and replace means he doesn't just take off lead generation for Wednesday. He erases it from 9 to 11 and then replaces it in his calendar. Now, Carson, imagine that this is what your calendar looks like. And you cannot on Wednesdays erase it and replace it on Wednesday. What do you mean? What do you have to do?
I'm probably just going to ask for the recording.
Okay, so there's one step, right? There's one thing, but now if your calendar is this full, when are you going to watch the recording?
Saturday? Looking like it.
And there's not a wrong answer. What I'm showing you guys is that I think what we do is we let ourselves pass on things that we were committed to. So in my world, erase and replace could mean a multitude of different things. Carson hit one of them, right? It's stick to my lead gen time, and this recording I'm going to have to watch in my free time, which means I might have to watch it and I wake up early. I might have to listen to it before I go to bed. I might have to watch it in the evening. The other thing that Carson could do would maybe take and look at his calendar and say, okay, on Mondays, I could actually go from 9 to 12. And then on Thursdays, I could go from 9 to 11, and then I could go from maybe 2 to 4. And so throughout the week, he can still average 15 contacts a day and 2 database members, right? So is it really the time, or is it the daily 10-4 that he needs to stick to? It's both, right?
Yeah.
If he doesn't make the time for it, he's never going to stick to it. But now let's say Carson can go and start to work on his business, and he can go, oh my gosh, on Monday, I hit 30 contacts and added 4 people to my database. Hey, you know what? This week, I'm just going to erase lead generation on Wednesday because I'm hitting my metrics. But what happens on Tuesday if he doesn't? erase, but replace. You have to be that methodical. You have to pay attention to your business that much, right? Some weeks that I said I want to hit 2 appointments a week and I could get it done by Wednesday, I would take that time that I was supposed to lead generate on Thursday and Friday and still lead generate, but I would lead generate through the means in which I wanted to. Meaning, instead of hitting X amount of contacts or trying to set an appointment, take somebody out for 2 hours versus call for 2 hours. Just one person, but for 2 hours, build that relationship, right? Instead of erasing it and replacing it, I kept it and pivoted my action items around it. If you can make real estate this living, breathing entity, I promise you, it becomes fun. It becomes fulfilling. But if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. And mark my words, if you have no lead generation blocks in your calendar, by the end of the week, you can sit there and be frustrated with yourself, but you're also going to you're so much more likely to just give yourself a pass. There's always next week. I don't know how many of you guys have already said it. So we're in week 2 of January. And last week passed and you didn't do what you wanted to do. And you all said, it's only the first week of the year. Screw it. It's only the second week of January. It's just January. I've got the rest of the months left. It's just February. I'm good. Every single month is 8% of the year. So if you go through January and just say, well, I've got the rest of the year left, go ahead and take your goal. If it's $100,000, go ahead and knock that straight down to 92. Because that's really what you're trying to tell yourself, is that I'm good with 92,000. And then February passes. And then March. All right, put it on your calendar, make things simple. Do your daily 10-4, erase and replace. We all know that the world is not perfect. I can have 9 to 11 in my calendar every single day for lead generation. And then bam, there's a class I want to take. Bam, there's a client who has to work at noon and can only see houses in the morning. Bam, there's a out-of-town family member coming into town. You got to, you do yourself this favor. Just please do yourself that favor. We talk about this a lot. Is Chad Amos on here? Saw him in the office. All right. Well, there's a couple people that I'm going to shout out to. Melissa Brasher. She has volunteered to do a book club. She wanted to run it with me, and I told her that I would attend, but I'm not going to run it with her. The reason why is because that I know was going to hold her more accountable to reading the MREA. The people that are in her book club, I can guarantee you and assure you that not all of you are reading every single page, because life gets in the way. But if you were running that book club, you would find the time to then do that. Before I was a productivity coach, I volunteered to put on the office calendar to run scripts twice a week for the office, but it was for me, guys. I went through my career and I did scripts every single day, and then I started getting all this money. I started doing all these transactions, and I started to not find time to do scripts. And then I hit a roadblock. I went to a listing appointment, and somebody said, well, that's great, but Redfin is going to do the house for 4.1%. So unless you can match that, we're going to go with Redfin. And nothing really came out of my mouth. And I was humbled because I thought for sure I had that script in my head. I thought for sure I could tackle it. I had combated that thing for a while. Redfin about 2015 and 2016 was hot. They were all over our area, and they were taking listings at 4.1%. And if you didn't know that script, you could run into a hurdle. Well, Bruce just, couldn't find the time. I didn't erase and replace. And I had a humbling experience. It was like a $600,000 listing, and I didn't get it. I felt like an idiot. I was a novice at that moment. I crushed every other point of that appointment. And then when it came down to a commission objection that I knew for a fact I had practiced and it was internalized, but I didn't make it instinctual. And that's where you go from this script is not me to I can say it verbatim to I can do it in the real world to holy crap, my mouth just said shit that I didn't even have to think about. And so I went back to practicing my scripts, but then I got bored of it again. And then I started losing time, but I knew for a fact that I had to keep doing it. If I'm going to be the professional, I got to keep practicing. So then I took it upon myself to do scripts twice a week in the office. Was it great to start? No, I had no rhyme. I had no regimen. I was trying to figure out how to get more people into practice with me. I started learning that not everybody wanted to practice the same script. I started learning that not everyone knew how to internalize. I started learning that some people would just BS with me and say they practiced the script all week. And then I spent the entire half an hour just working with them on their script and never developing my skills. But by me volunteering, I went through that. Chad Amos has he's constantly been helping people. He's constantly been asking people to go out and shadow open houses with him. Right. The thing that I want Chad to know and do is make sure that he's not always having the exact same people come and shadow with him. And I want to make sure that if you're shadowing with the same person all the time, quit and go shadow with somebody else. If you have a scripts and role play partner, right, every single one of you should have at least 1 to 3 people that you run through scripts with for half an hour once a week. So if Carson is my Monday, then I'm running through scripts with him on Monday for half an hour. And then I'm going to do Maria on Wednesday and then Alyssa on Thursday or whatever that looks like, right? And then once I get done with not done, but once Carson and I's conversation goes, hey man, what's going on? All right, you ready to do this? And it's just way too calm, way too, not really that clammy. I'm going to go and pick up Lynette. I'm going to go and pick up a new person. Or I'm going to go and do it myself so methodically that when I show up to scripts in our PC group, that I just know exactly what I'm going to work on and role play with everybody in that group. Your personal accountability is something that if we can't get out of our own way to make our own calls, how in the world are you ever going to hold yourself personally accountable by yourself? That's why I have a coach. That's why you guys have us. That's why you guys are on this class. But more than that is you got to do it with other people. That's why I hate when everybody just learns from me. Learn from Harry, learn from Lori, learn from KW Connect. Go take people like Rod Fishkin out to lunch. Go take the Jenny Hart out to lunch. All right, quit telling yourself that some of these successful agents are unapproachable. The fact of the matter is that you're telling yourself that, and they are just busy, but they have time for you and they'll pour into you. If you're not getting anything from anybody, let me know. I'll cherry pick people off of our roster that I know would have lunches with you, that I know would be your accountability partner. But they're not going to reach out to you. You got to do it. You got to do it for yourself. I think Anthony Cassell is going to do an open house class for us. He really wants to get really, really good at open houses. He is really good at open houses. But he also knows that by teaching an open house class, he's going to get questions from you. He's going to have to practice this thing and he's going to get better at it. Agreement of expectations. I expect you guys to all report what is your daily 10-4, what happened and how it happened. The other thing that you guys all really need to do is if you have significant others, I can assure you, just like yourself, they don't know what the heck you're going through. My wife was working 3 part-time jobs. She became pregnant and Bruce wasn't bringing in any money. And she got very, very, very frustrated with me. And a lot of it was because I didn't tell her, I didn't bring home my frustrations. I was super frustrated with myself. I had no idea that this job was this intense, that it becomes the career part of this job only becomes a career after you learn the job. I had no idea that I couldn't just go out and do a couple of open houses and not get a lead. I had to actually go out and do open houses and expect nothing for the first 4 until I figured out how to place signs the correct way. I had to go out and do my first 4 before I realized, holy crap, if I don't door knock around this open house, I'm like significantly decreasing my chances of pulling leads off of an open house. But through talking to my wife about it, we got a lot better. She understood. And because she understood, I didn't come home to walking on eggshells and all of that stuff. My daughter's 5 years old now. My daughter will FaceTime me and ask me how daddy's doing. Because if daddy does good, she gets to go do things with that. I know Darby, I think, has printed off homes. She has a sheet where she prints off homes, and every house she sells, her daughters get to tape it on a wall. And when they get to a place where they tape so many homes on the wall, they're going to Disney World, right? Talk to your family about it. Let them know that it is difficult, that you're going to have trying days, and that there is no such thing as work-life balance. We absolutely have to understand that when you start something new, if this is work and this is life, that your time in work is going to be elevated, which means time in your personal life will go down. And so by living by your calendar, sticking to your daily 10-4, it makes things manageable to where you can still have a personal life. Right? But set those expectations with your family and set those expectations with yourself. Set those expectations with there she is. Hey, you. Good morning. Do you know that your dad is absolutely crushing it at his real estate job? Do you know that there's so many people that are so proud of him? I hope that you're just as proud of him as we are. But can you do me a favor?
So can you?
Can you do me a favor? You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
I want you, you don't have to do it right now in front of everybody because I know it's a little nerve-wracking. But I want you to make an agreement with your daddy. Okay, I want your dad to do something so special for you if he hits some of his goals. Okay, I want you guys to set that up together. I want your dad to work so hard for you that he can take you and do something with you that you never thought before. Now, be within reason, because if you don't have a house to hold a pony, don't ask him for a pony. I don't think he'll get that for you.
She wants a pony.
Will you do that for me? Will you help your dad hold himself to his goals in his real estate business? Because he's doing amazing. Okay, good.
Yes.
Thank you. Last moment. What are our action items for this first Ignite? It's to develop your daily 10-4. All right. Go back up, and I don't care if you guys put it on. I don't care if you guys put it on a piece of paper and put it in your office. I don't care if you put it on the background of your phone. I encourage you to print off your daily 10-4 so you guys can always look at it. Right. I don't have an old example of it. I tried to find it for somebody else the other day, but take this daily 10-4 and let's pretend that, you bullet point out your tasks, and then right beside it, put like 5 boxes there. So that way on Monday, you can go through and check off the first one if you did it. And then on Tuesday, and then at the end of the week, you would have X amount of boxes, and you can clearly see where your holes are in your business. It's a really good visual to have those check boxes. It's pretty awesome. So action item number 1, create your daily 10-4. It does not have to be 10 new contacts to your database, and it doesn't have to be speak to 10 people and write 10 handwritten notes. But I encourage you to keep it simple. Derek, you still on here?
Yes, sir.
All right. What are your goals per day?
I wish I could tell you, Bruce. I think I need to develop this a little further.
Perfect. Right. We all get our 1, 3, 5 done, and then we kind of think we kind of got it, right? But then it comes to those daily activities and habits, right? Carson has 15 contacts a day, adding 2 people to his database. Is there anything else that you want to add to that? Are you going to develop some more, or are you going to keep it that way for a while? Because there's not a right or wrong.
I've kind of like did exactly what you did. I actually did that this morning of doing what my profit goal is and then breaking it all down into what I need to do for, I don't know if you can't really see it.
I'm gonna put you on
But-
speaker view so that way maybe I can see it. Hold it back up. Yep, I get it. That's awesome.
So it's like, so it just kind of breaks it down into exactly what you were talking about, of like, what do you want for your profit? And then how much is your business expenses? What's your average, commission rate? What's the average price of the home? And it breaks it all down for you to what you need to do for the year. So my goal is 15. So I don't know, through the kind of coaching that I've gone through is take your yearly thing of how many deals, and that's how many people you need to talk to, new people you need to talk to today. So that's how my goals are broken down.
That's an awesome simplistic way of looking at it, right? If I want to do 50 deals in 1 year, I probably need to talk to about 50 people new a day. And I'll tell you, that's part of the reason why I didn't actually end up going for number one. I wasn't going to commit to 50 new people a day. I maxed out at about 40, 45. It was just brutal. And because I got to that max and I just got to my throw up point, right? I just didn't want to do that, but I was doing enough. I added some other things on. That's awesome, Carson. Action item number one, set that daily 10-4, and then call it whatever the hell you want. And I look forward to hearing that next week. Action item number two is grade yourself on doing it. Okay, so set it and then do it. It's Wednesday. So we have all the way until next Wednesday. I want to see what you guys have. All right, send it to me, scan it in, share it with me, send me in an email, and I'll use some of your guys' examples if you want. But that's why I give you guys some of my examples. Last action item. It's what? Calendar. Your calendar. All right, if it's not on there, it doesn't exist. And I pulled scripts off my calendar and I got burnt in a listing appointment. And I was still making some good money, but that's 650,000. It was 600 something $1,000 listing. I mean, God, you guys should have saw it. They were putty in my hands. I did everything right to talk around Redfin, and when it came down to money, I had nothing to say, and it was awful. And it was, it's $14,000. I wish I had, but through that, I put it back on my calendar. So put it on your calendar. If it exists, you're more likely to do it. If it exists and you don't do it, you're more likely to get down on yourself and actually end up doing it. Thank you guys. If you guys have questions, let me know. I appreciate everybody being on here.